Alright, back in Bear's garage with the Triumph. Got the jets and emulsion tube soaking in some Marvel mystery oil. I made the mistake of riding my bike over here today. It's raining. It was like baby typhoon earlier. Luckily I didn't really get caught in it, so it wasn't too bad. How do you know when your car needs to be waxed? Terrible. Zero water beading. So anyways, we're gonna get these carbs straightened out today. Finish cleaning them up. See if we can't slap this stuff back together. Alright, got the kit. Two of them, one for each carb. So just use a pick tool to pop this out of the bowl. Got the bowl cleaned out. Just cleaned all the mating surface up. You know, just using Carb Clean. And you know, the kit comes with the new needles. You know, the old ones weren't that bad, but it's definitely something you're better off replacing. And then this little nipple that's sticking out, that should collapse. Like these two, they were still working, but they are old, so we're just going to replace them. You know, if this doesn't seal right, you're going to have big problems. So I got the pilots out, and it looks like the kit came with new ones. So throw the new ones in there. It's coming along. Alright, so I got that pilot jet back in there. And the main jet, it's a 8mm. I had them apart, so I took the jet is out of the emulsion tube. So I just use this pin from like a sewing kit. So all you want to do is just kind of run that pin into those holes. There's 12 holes, so you got 4 sets of 3 holes. You know, just stick the pin in that hole. That'll push anything out of there. And then you know, just spray some carb cleaner through there. And same thing with the jet. I just ran that needle into the center of the jet and kind of, you know, ran the needle around in there, and then just blow carb cleaner through there, and pretty much good to go. So this is ready to go back in here. Like I said, use that 8mm. I'll tighten that down, put the main jet back in there with the flathead screwdriver, and then I've got to put the pilot jet on this side. Then I'll be ready to put the needles on these floats and mount those back in there. Alright, got the one side tidied up here. Just finishing this up. It's got the little pin in here. So that's what holds this float in. It's got the new needle in there. Everything's cleaned up. I think the pilots on this bike are like an air bleed, whereas like on my R6 I think it actually controls how much fuel. So I'll have to look into that and find out, but I think it's an air bleed. So it kind of works the opposite of the R6, where like on the R6 when you turn the pilot jet out you're enriching it, and on this bike turning it out would lean out that pilot mixture. So I'm not 100%, but pretty sure that's what's going on there. So just got to get the gasket in here, get that tidied up, be ready to do the slides. Bear's angry because somebody put silicone all over these little air horns, but got the Keihin in there. So just got to finish cleaning this stuff up, be ready to start bolting these carbs back on. I was gonna kind of bench sink these, but I don't think I really have to. You know, you can bench sink them with like just using the same like the pin you use to clean the jets and the emulsion tubes. You just want to get an accurate gap on the throttle blades. And actually using this pin would probably be, like when you first start the bike, it'd probably be a pretty high idle, because it's a pretty big gap. But I think we're just going to leave them. And then I don't know about doing a carb sync. I might try using the tool I got, or we might have to get something else, but I think for the time being we'll be able to get it running and should be good enough to ride it for now. So that's probably down the road kind of stuff. But other than that, I mean, pretty clean. But you know, these are the gaskets, and I mean, these are really brittle, and broke this one taking it off. But this is really, you know, it doesn't really want to flex. It's kind of stiff, so that's no good. So yeah, moving along. Get her back together. Alright, got the one side finished up, and go through putting this slide back in, the diaphragm. So you want to put the needle in first. And then this little plastic piece kind of captures the needle in there. The spring will go over that. You really can't put this slide in backwards. It really only goes one way. So you want to make sure the needle's going in the carb throat there. Get that seated. And then set the spring inside of here. And make sure you get the JIS screwdrivers. That's why we had a little problem getting the bowls off. And kind of like anything, you want to tighten them in a crisscross pattern. You know, you don't have to go crazy. Just want to snug this stuff down.
Did you want to use our RTV?
No.
Not RTV, I meant Loctite, but...
And when you're all done, just check the slides. You know, that needle should stay, it shouldn't pull all the way out. If that needle pulls all the way out, you've got it in there incorrectly. So these are working nice and smooth. So that's all set. Alright, so the last part of this was the readings on the pilots. I'm just going to set them both to 2.5, which I already did that. So that's these screws over here. And then you could always mark these with like a Sharpie, but you just want to screw them in until they're completely seated. And you don't want to, you just want to seat them. Don't go crazy tightening them. So get them seated, and then, you know, count your turns out. So right now we got them at 2.5. We'll see how the bike runs, and we'll make an adjustment from there. But I think that'll be enough to get us started up. Alright, got these little air stubs on. So these little air horns, you want to just kind of, if you squish them down and get that big lip in there, you can kind of push it in, because it's got to be sitting back to get the carbs in here. So if if you get it smushed down, you can just kind of get that huge lip in there and push it in the box, and then we'll be able to yank these back out when the carbs are back on. Bear got new copper washers down there for the oil return. Got that snugged up, and he did the air injection removal, so got the little plugs in there. That's all blocked off. So it's all that hoo-ha. It's out of there. So we're ready to we're gonna get the carbs thrown up here. All right, making some progress. We got the carbs on, and I'd love to tell you how we got them on there, but I don't really know. It was ridiculous.
It's not a simple job, that is.
But yeah, I don't know. You kind of got to do one side at a time. It definitely helps to pull this spring back. And there's a lot of fighting. I think the big problem is you can't really, when you push this into the airbox, you can't really get your hand in the airbox to push it back through without taking the whole airbox apart. I don't know, this whole airbox thing, I guess you could do it that way. You'd have to take the box down. And there's a couple of Allens back here under the fender to get the box down. But we did it without taking the box down, so I guess if you're having really big issues, you just pull the box off of there. So we'll have to get the plug wires back on there. It's a lot cleaner with the air injection pulled off of there. It's kind of a pain in the dupa dealing with that stuff. So we're getting there. Get the tank back on there. Battery in. And we'll see if she starts.
Is that hose coming?
Alright, got the battery hooked up. Tank's back on. Fueling her up. You're dripping on the tank.
Wasn't tight. Alright, here we go. Let's try that again. As the gas burns the cuts on my hand.
Feels like dying.
Oh, this is fine. What's over here?
Oh yeah, choke her out. I got the fuel on. It's gonna have to fill the bowls up, so
Its fuel is off.
that could be the problem. Was it? Nah, keep it choked. Was it running like this when you bought it, or what? Running any different than when you first got it?
Ran about the same.
Yeah. Yeah, check the oil. Alright guys, I made a little pilot jet adjustment on both the carbs. Doing oil change now. It's like the drain plugs up front here.
I really can't see. Where's your light to
What's up?
your flashlight?
Oh, it's on the other side. I'll look at it for you. Something sounds good.
Oh, let's see.
Oh, there we go.
Ooh. Nice charger.
So the drain plug's up front, and the filter's in the back here. I can't see it.
Not tremendously difficult. Appears to have a Honda oil filter on it. Whatever works.
It's probably for a mold wing.
Yeah. Alright, that got oil all over it. That's awesome.
Alright, got some more petrol in there.
It's like the oil level's good. Slightly low. We'll top that up later though. That's fine. It's definitely enough.
Keys on. I swear to God. Thursday? I don't know if you got rehearsal or something, do you?
Good?
Oh, dude.
It sounds good, dude.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not even like carb sync or anything.
Oh.
Have we been triumphant?
Fuck yeah. I'm shocked.
Now, we'll get it cleaned up too. Nice.
Fucking A.
Alright, I gotta go for another ride.
Oh. I'm glad I got the. Is this the first cruiser you've actually ever ridden?
Yeah, I've never,
Holy
well, it's so weird, dude. My feet are like
Yeah.
way out front, you know? And then the steering is like when I tried to turn,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my god.
Well, you don't lean.
It's a
into
lot,
the
yeah,
turn
well,
as
it's a
much,
lot
yeah.
different than the steering on my
Yeah.
bike.
Which, remember that when you climb back onto your
Yeah.
crotch
Well, I
rocket
mean, I
there.
got all the muscle
Yeah.
memory with that thing.
Yeah.
I actually rode it before Bear took off on it, and I guess I probably should have filmed that, but probably looked like a Yaki doc.
No, you're right.
What am I doing?
You didn't have you weren't like riding with your feet like, you know.
Yeah.
10
Well, the steering's
centimeters above
steering's definitely weird. Like I'd have to get
Yeah.
used to that before, especially when I was trying to turn down there. I was like, "What is this thing doing?" It's nice though, man.
Oh yeah.
Definitely
Just
stole
cruise.
this thing.
Yeah.
All right, well, sure we'll be making more videos with this thing sometime soon.
Yeah.
Do a little detail and try to get this bad doggy over to my garage and try syncing the carbs up. Maybe play around with the pilots a little more, but I mean it sounds good.
Ooh, well, probably should have tightened that up before.
Whoops, you don't need brakes. All right, guys.
Signing out.
Signing out of Bear's Garage. Till next time.